What was your "this person is on another level of stupid" moment? I locked my purse with my keys and cell phone in my apartment. I went to the office to ask maintenance to let me in. The woman at the desk said she would call maintenance and asked for a phone number they could reach me at. I said there wasn't one because my cell phone was locked in my apartment. She insisted she needed a number. I said I could give her the number but that I wouldn't be able to answer if they called. She suggested I get my phone out of my apartment so that I could answer when they called. I rolled my eyes at her and said if I could get in my apartment to get my cell phone I wouldn't need maintenance to let me in. She never did understand me. But maintenance did show up 10 minutes later. Reminds me of the time my cell phone completely died, wouldn't power on even if I charged it, so I called Apple support. Guy asked what's wrong with my phone. I told him it won't turn on. He asks me to power it on so we could troubleshoot. I tell him it won't turn on. He sighs and tell me he won't be able to diagnose the problem if I won't cooperate and power on my phone for him. I worked at a meat desk for a summer job, and a woman came in and asked if we had any meat without spices or sauces. She then proceeded to tell us that the doctor had said that her dogs got sick because she kept feeding them pizza and they couldn't handle the spices. She then said, "Oh, but they love pizza so much, I feel bad for them. I'm probably still gonna feed them pizza." We were talking about the Irish potato famine in college, and this one girl said, "Oh wow. I thought it was the potato family." As if that wasn't enough, she later asked why were they so eager to get jobs? If I was that hungry I wouldn't even try to get a job. Man, I wish I was joking. I worked at a pet store in college. This customer asked me which food would make his pit bull swole. I suggested a high-protein food with a good amount of exercise but advised that a lot of it was determined by the dog's genetics. He asked me if we sold genetics. I was once asked how it felt to come to the US as a refugee. "I'm from Germany." She then looked rather surprised when I told her that Hitler has been dead for 75 years and that Germany is one of the more liberal countries in the world these days. She full-on thought I fled Nazi Germany. Once in middle school, I simply could not get the concept of the phrase "the day after tomorrow" through to a kid. He couldn't wrap his mind around it. Edit. It's swell that many of you know the word overmorrow. I am proud of you. This incident was decades ago. I won't be sharing overmorrow with him anytime. I work for Parks Canada in Yulho National Park. I have been asked the question, seriously, where do you keep the animals at night? Twice in my career. To this day I still find great joy imagining what they thought was going on each night as we collected every large animal in the parks. I worked at a restaurant and we had a dish that was just a whole grilled chicken, chopped into pieces. A woman who ordered for delivery called us, absolutely scathing, complaining that her order of one whole chicken only contained 2 chicken breasts. Had to explain to grown-ass woman that chicken only have 2 breasts. Edit. To clarify, the rest of the chicken was also there. She was just expecting more than 2 chicken breasts. She stated this clearly to both me and my manager, who she insisted she speak to over this inconvenience. I was friends with a guy who believed those fake Apple adverts like Apple Wave, microwave your phone for instant battery charge. I was so dumbfounded that he actually fell for it. When I saw him the week after and he had a new phone, it all clicked for me. Not me but a friend worked in a call center for a CC company in the disputes department. The number one item people called to say they never purchased ... interest charge. Ex-flatmate canceled the gas and electricity contract because it was too expensive. Wondered why we had no more electricity nor gas. She thought we paid €90 a month to get a hotline 24/7 in case of problem. I once worked in a Midwestern grocery store deli and I was trying to explain to a woman that the name brand and generic brand of the macaroni salad that we carried were in fact identical. The woman yelled at me saying she could only have the generic brand because one is made with mayo and the other is made with mayonnaise and I don't like mayo. When I tried to explain that mayo is an abbreviation of mayonnaise, she just said I'm from the South, I know my food and tutted away. My wife's cousin and her husband, not baby daddy of her unborn child, fell on self-induced hard times and needed a place to stay for a bit. We set up a queen-sized air mattress in the living room for them. For 3 weeks I woke up to go to work and every morning saw them sleeping on it sideways with their legs hanging off the edge. Then one day she asked me to buy her a bigger air mattress because this one was hard on their backs. I told her to turn her body, the fucking thing even has a built-in pillow on one end. Her response was that then they couldn't see the TV. Then fucking turn the air mattress to face the TV. That's the story of how I became an asshole to the trailer trash side of the family. The bad part is that it's only one of many stories. The husband was a cook at Applebee's. The baby daddy was a cook at Applebee's, and her new husband was another cook from the same fucking Applebee's. All working together. I used to work with a girl who was sweet but so dumb. We were in a meeting once and somehow someone mentioned baked ham. My manager said, "Ugh, I hate ham. It looks like human flesh." The girl I mentioned was sitting next to me and looked horrified and whispered, "Does ham really come from people? How much is a $50 worth?" She was the newest teller my boss hired. We'll never forget that moment. A old co-worker was telling me that there's people out there that think Alaska is an island. I laughed in disbelief, but another co-worker overheard and was flabbergasted. "What? It's not? But it's always drawn off to the side with Hawaii?" Point made. Another time a guy with a really thick accent walked in. Same girl was like, "Oh wow, I like your accent. Where are you from?" Said guy, "Have a guess." Her response? "Have Vegas? I've never heard of that place before." And walked away. She is super sweet, just slightly oblivious. Watching a man try to open the locked front door of my shop while a bright red closed sign was literally inches from his face. He kept looking at the door like it was just stuck. Rescued a co-worker on the side of the road with a flat tire, waiting for the tow truck. I pointed out the nail at the top of their tire. They scoffed and looked at me like I was the stupidest person in the world and exclaimed, "That's not true, BC, it's flat at the bottom." I just walked away and never brought it up again. Someone in my history class argued that Mussolini was a type of pasta. I had to explain to a girl why you couldn't grow your hair down in front of your face and just cut out eye holes. Even explaining it her, she couldn't grasp it and brushed me off as being too smart. I got a concussion a while back. A friend of mine told me not to come close because it might be contagious. They weren't kidding. A girl in my school had gotten about 3 concussions within a year, and when she hit her head the 4th time, and blacked out for a minute, refused to go to the doctor because last time they said if I got another concussion it could cause brain damage, so I'm not going to let them give me another one. Edit, because so many people saw this and are asking, no, she did not play any sports, she was just incredibly stupid and clumsy even before the first one. Me, when I was a kid. I had a real old transistor radio, asked my parents for a newer radio, so I could receive and listen to newer music. My boss asked me to file the spam mail. This man was one of those people who think they are the smartest person in the room. So spam folder okay. Weird, but okay. I couldn't find any spam mail that wasn't already in the spam folder. Afternoon comes and he stomps over to my desk area and wants to know why the spam isn't in the spam folder as he throws a manila folder on my desk. The folder was labeled spam. He prints spam mail out and files it. And with any sign of skepticism on my face, he'd insist the IT guy told him that's where spam goes, so he got himself a folder and that was it. I had to get the fuck out. Edit, people are asking if I'm serious. I have photo proof. Edit 2, sorry about my nails, I chewed them almost off that day. My friend is allergic to walnuts. One day, he made this sandwich in our college dorm. It had walnuts garnished on top of the bread. I then remember him telling me, "Oh look, there's walnuts on here," and proceeds to eat the entire sandwich. At the time I didn't know he was allergic. I leave to shower and when I come back there are 2 paramedics in our dorm taking him out on a stretcher. The following day I asked what happened, to which he replies something along the line, "I accidentally ate some walnuts which I'm allergic to, and by the time I went to get a Benadryl, my throat had started to close and I couldn't swallow it, so I had to call 911. I was just utterly shocked how he even let this entire situation happen. I really couldn't believe it. College days, am I right? Edit. He knew he was allergic to walnuts, but he's very careless, so again it was one of those YOLO moments. Luckily I don't think he did that ever again. High school teacher here. I gave a multiple choice quiz to a student this year. I go to grade the first question and instead of choosing option A, B, C, or D, he wrote in his own option and circled it. I don't know. He went on to do this for roughly 2/3 of the questions on the quiz. I appreciated the honesty. But guessing to have a chance at some points, or at the very least just leaving it blank, might have been a bit wiser. Oh well. Obviously I followed up with the kid to see what the deal was. In the end we sorted things out. I wouldn't say they were on another level of stupid, they didn't do school in the traditional way. Ended up having a great year together. A friend didn't have coins for a vending machine but did have $1. She folded up the dollar and forced it into the coin slot and then did not understand why she did not get her item. For me, I had a concussion and was getting x-rays taken. They gave me a lead blanket to wrap around my twig and berries. I took it and wrapped it around me like a cape. I could not understand what they wanted me to do. Knew a girl in middle school that didn't understand the concept of perspective. She also thought north was whichever direction you were facing at the time. I work retail. Had a customer a few weeks back pull her mask down to cough into the open air and then pull it back up. Really makes you wonder why there are people like this in the world. Dated a guy we watched Titanic. He thought the movie was stupid because the boat sank. It wasn't believable. You can't recover from that. Ever. My sister asked if the Eiffel Tower was in Paris or France and couldn't understand how it could be in both. In high school I met a boy who asked me for a hygienic cloth because he thought he had a period. Actually he only sat on a melted popsicle. The time a friend told me how much he hates potatoes ... while eating French fries, and I literally blew his mind by telling him French fries are potatoes. Spent 7 years working for TSA. Had a pretty sweet detail where I would assist passengers who did not have ID or assist TSA agents if they had questions about the validity of the given ID. I get a call on the radio asking for assistance in verifying an ID. I come over and ask what the issue is. Agent hands me a driver's license and says can't accept this Canadian ID. Hearing this, I assume it's expired or the wrong name. I take a look and see that it is an Alaskan driver's license. I quickly approve the passenger and send them on their way. I then spent 10 minutes explaining that A, Canadian DLs are acceptable according to TSA regulations, and B, Alaska has never been a Canadian territory. This coworker has a master's degree in mathematics and served 25 years in the U.S. Air Force. When a dumb as a brick girl that I went to high school with asked our history teacher if she'd ever owned a slave. This story is in good faith. I was asking my friend, Jay, when he learned about 9/11. He started telling me the specific story of how he walked outside and saw smoke everywhere and how he asked his mom about it. He claimed she said planes hit the towers. I stared at him, just silently taking in the story. We live in the Midwest, there was no way he saw the debris from the towers. Also we were born in 2003. Edit, do I really have to defend Jay? Y'all, he wasn't purposefully lying. It was most likely a fake memory, so he thought he was telling the truth. It was just a fun dumb moment I thought I would share. I had a coworker who could never figure out what time her 15-minute break was over. We were both bank tellers. When I was in high school, there were these two girls that constantly just blew my mind. One of them asked what does insignificance mean? And the other replied why something is significant. The first girl looked at her and went to okay, I get it. Classmate was convinced that winning the lottery is 50% chance. Because you either win it, not. In last year of high school,